Hello and welcome to Split Your Head. I am your host, Bob, and today I've got two special guests on, Guy and Dave Jackson. Guy and Dave are two filmmakers with distinct but similarly wild approaches to horror. Guy's most recent feature, Sound of Summer, was a paranoid descent into otherworldly body horror, while Dave's last film, Cat Sick Blues, felt like one of the most depraved and disturbing indie dramedies I've ever seen. Clearly, then, they're operating on their own singular and highly charged wavelength. So naturally, they'd find each other in Japan and start one of the most sensational and entertaining podcasts I've had the pleasure of following over the past year. This podcast is Show Me Something Wrong, and it's one zany travelogue through the boundaries of unconventional cinema. I've got these two gents on to chat with me today about this podcast and how I'm presuming it feeds back into their incredible work. So guys, or I should say Guy and Dave, how are you doing?
Good. Sorry, we're deciding who should speak first. Yeah.
You can talk in unison if the answer is the same.
We try to do that sometimes.
Do you want all answers to be in unison?
You can try it.
All right, ready?
Well. Oh, fuck that. Right.
First one was wrong.
All right, I'm good. Yeah, I'm great. I'm fantastic.
I'm good as well. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's the
awesome.
first time anyone's described ourselves or our podcast as zany, and I like that. So thank you.
Well, okay.
I like zany.
It's a fantastic word.
You know, because I honestly have been listening since episode 1, and, you know, you probably aren't able to hear necessarily the evolution yourselves because you're so close to the material. But to me, I feel like not only do I hear the research becoming richer, but I hear the friendship growing. And I think that's where the zaniness comes out because, like, majority of the episode is you guys just, like, laughing at what you're watching, and it's so fucking infectious. Like, it's just so like, wow, I wish I was in the room watching it with them.
I remember the worst laughing one we did was what's that movie, Killer Tongue? There's like a section of the Killer Tongue episode where Guy couldn't say, it was like the Japanese tagline of the film.
Very funny. And
I was finding it so funny that he couldn't say it. And normally I would cut out like stuff like that, but it's like it's maybe like 5 to 10 minutes of us just laughing. And then I asked my partner, I'm like, oh, did you like the bit where like Guy laughs for ages and I laugh for ages? She's like, no, it was awful. Why'd you leave that in?
You know what? Like, so yeah, Dave, just like for clarification, Dave edits all of our episodes. So I don't do any of the editing.
Lucky you.
I know, right? I mean, it was his idea to do the podcast anyway, so we'll leave that up to him,
Right.
He brought that on himself. But yeah, we chop the fat. Or sorry, he chops the fat as much as possible.
Okay.
So during that Killer Tongue episode, I had a massive laughing
breakdown.
fit. And you know when you get into that like hysterical place, which you don't ever go like. You can maybe go like once every like few years, and you get fucking giddy like a horse. You're just like, you get into that ridiculous place. And I went there, and then it came to the episodes getting released, and he fucking kept the entire 5-minute laughing fit in.
What? But it was funny.
Mortified.
It was great.
No, it wasn't. It was as your partner said. It was fucking annoying.
Oh no, it's my favorite part of any episode.
Of the 2-hour episode is me laughing.
So the longest episode, we could have just cut that bit.
But yes, no, we do laugh a lot. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to be growing in a sense, like over the course of like, are you guys splitting up into seasons, or is it just a continuous stream of episodes?
I think it's just a continuous stream at this point.
Okay,
but we do plan to take maybe not a season break, but we do plan to take a break at some point. Yeah, but at the moment it's just been every 2 weeks we've brought out an episode. For how long now? Over a year, almost 2 years, maybe.
We started recording in the height of COVID.
Yeah. It was like 21.
Yeah,
maybe 22. I don't know. But maybe 22. But yeah, it's been about 2 years.
I feel like it was beginning of 2023.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think.
No. No, it wasn't beginning 2033.
Or end of 2022? End?
We started recording a lot earlier in advance. We banked a few episodes.
Yeah.
And then our first one came out.
I think it was maybe August 2022 because we did a year anniversary. I remember last year. But yeah, it is interesting that you say that though, Bob, because 2022 in July actually was our first episode. But yeah, we started recording them maybe in March, I think, of that year, and we banked like maybe
I think six,
something like that. But yeah, it's like it is funny you say that because like I went back and like listened to that first episode just to like see how it's changed or like see what we can improve, and it's fucking terrible. The first episode is awful because we're so uncomfortable because we're like, what are we doing? We don't know what we're doing, and we're both of us we're not like making that many jokes, and we're both a bit stiff, and the audio is terrible because we hadn't worked out what we were doing yet. But I think we've loosened up, but I think we also do a lot more research now as well, because at the beginning the first few ones we just recorded it and just talked about it. We didn't really do any extra research, and then someone gave a shit on Facebook for that, and that was kind of we started doing it a little bit, but then that was like a trigger point to like be like, we should probably do extra research.
We never decided or thought about like we're gonna dig deep into the making of this film before we talk about it. And I remember little by little that started to become a thing. I think when maybe I did what was it, Red Account, My Bloody Angel, and I had dug deep into the actual murder case it was based on. And then we got a lot of pleasure in learning about the behind the scenes of these films that we were talking about. And it was more like, I don't know, for example, myself, the one recommending the film or bringing the film to the episode, in a lot of the cases, I would have known about the case or the behind the scenes story anyway. But for the person who doesn't know the film, then of course they won't know about the behind the scenes story as well. So it became this like extra little thing to get that extra reaction out of them, which then obviously played out on mic.
Yeah.
But then, as you said, I think, but then we were doing that for a while, and then some fucking person he said something about
he was like a friend on your Facebook.
Some person I didn't even know who the person was.
Oh my god.
Anyway, but it was about what was the film?
Was about Night Dreams. And I remember but at that point we were already like digging deep into the behind the scenes stuff, and I remember I brought a lot to that episode about how they used the sets from Night Dreams were reused sets from the VHS.
The VHS is like the posters to sell VHS or something for some like cult 80s films. Anyway, and I brought a lot to the episode, and some guy was like, "Oh yeah, it's just you fucking telling the plot and nothing else." And on one hand, I was just like,
he said it was irksome.
That
was the word we always.
What?
So we refer back to that a lot. So yeah, on one hand, I was like, "Well, no, you didn't fucking listen to it, you cunt." And then, but on the other hand, I was just like, well, you know, hearing these, it wasn't even criticism, it was a fucking complaint, but it just, you know, pushed us more into the direction of like, well, we need to bring more to this podcast than just talking about the plot itself. We need to add these little behind the scenes details.
I think it was ultimately, even though at the time we were like, this guy, what a piece of shit.
What an irksome
cunt. And then but then I think it helped us because like we were already doing that research, but then after that I'm like, all right, we've got to really go for it. And it's been really good because like now sometimes I'll choose to do a movie because I'm like, oh, this will be a good excuse to like reach out to the director. So I did that with Tina Krause's Limbo, got to interview her for it, and Minaru Kawasaki for Miracle Bunny, and loads of like people like that. So that's made it kind of really fun to do. It's a lot more work, but it's really like rewarding to do that extra research, and it's just really fun to dig into these films. Yeah.
But it does kind of set it apart from a lot of other podcasts, because like I don't know if you guys have gone through like all the other, I feel like this is so reductive to say, but like friends watching a horror movie podcast, and it's not usually like quality research on top of their reaction. It's usually just a reaction of like, oh my God, did you see that? Ha ha ha. And like, I think you guys are bringing a lot more to the table by doing that.
Yeah, I don't really listen to that many movie podcasts. I don't know about you.
No.
You don't listen,
Oh,
do you
okay.
listen to podcasts at all?
No.
So for me,
I'm like really
okay.
not interested in podcasts.
yeah, I know, yeah. What's a podcast when I mentioned it to you?
Is it
like the radio?
Guys, I will be editing that out, by the way.
No, seriously,
Because
I
you're
have
on
no
my
desire to do
podcast,
a
so thanks a lot.
Sorry, but basically, no, but just like for the record, I had no desire. I never thought once in my life I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. No, never.
Yeah.
Not for like the dislike of them, not at all. But I just, I never thought it was something I wanted to do.
Yeah, I think for me, for a long time I've wanted to do one. I just didn't know what it was going to be, because as you say, there's like a lot of podcasts that are on paper like what we do, but yeah, I think I think it was, I don't know what it was, but I think just it kind of happened with us naturally. Like we weren't planning to do it, but then I don't know why did it happen? I can't remember. Well, I think because we had movies that we had shared with each other. We've got very similar taste in movies in some ways, and then very different in other ways. But we had a lot of experiences where like Guy would recommend a film to me that I'd never seen. I'm like, how have I not heard of this? This is fucking insane. And then, vice versa. And then that was kind of what led us to make the podcast. So it was quite a natural kind of thing. It's like, well, we may as well just make a podcast of it because we talk about it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have an episode, correct me if I'm wrong, that is like your origin story, right?
Yeah, I think we did a mini episode.
The anniversary.
Yeah, the anniversary one where we talk about that.
Yeah, because I contemplated like asking you guys to go through that, but I mean, you've gone through it so many times, and it really is a way to draw people listening to this. Like, listen to that episode. It's adorable how you guys found each other in Japan, which is just so wild that you're both from like completely different parts of the world, and you both end up in Japan, and you're both like underground horror filmmakers making stuff that I would say, I hope you take this as a compliment, but like on par with each other, like quality wise, and you're both are kind of like floating in the same scenes and everything.
This guy's quality is way higher than the stuff I make.
Oh, don't say that. I mean,
that's a fact. That's not an opinion.
I think we're very different filmmakers, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember when I saw, because I saw Guy's film before I met him. So I had no bias watching his film Difficulty Breathing. Because it's in that episode we talk about that. But yeah, I ordered that film, bought it directly from him, and watched it, and was genuinely like blown away by it. And I think Guy has like a filmmaking instinct and a way to capture things that's like that I could never dream of being able to do, like very like disturbing, like I don't know, I don't know how he makes things so scary when he films them. I can't do that. So that we're very different kind of filmmakers, I think. But yeah, he's got a skill that I don't know if it's a skill or just like an inbuilt thing, like a visual talent. I don't know what it is, but that film blew me away, and I'd never met him, so that's how you know it's like a good film. Because I didn't, it wasn't me watching a mate's film. I didn't know him at that point in time. And I loved his film. Yeah.
Well, my theory on that is maybe with Guy's work, he doesn't really play around with tones as much. Whereas Dave, like I think your work does. And I think that sometimes that can kind of like lead to like a more consistent accumulation of dread. Like think of like The Shining is so one tone, but it just keeps building in a way. And that's not a bad thing. It's like a completely different experience, And I think for me, Cat Sick Blues was definitely more disturbing than scary because, the scenes of like extreme gore kind of almost come out of nowhere in that way. You know, they're more jarring.
Although it is funny with Cat Sick Blues. I remember when it came out and people would call it very upsetting and disturbing, and I'm like, is it really?
Yeah.
Didn't.
Oh yeah.
It's like I didn't realize it was.
Yeah, it's wild.
Guess that says something about me.
Well, I mean, it deals with like pretty disturbing subject matter as well. You know, like the woman being assaulted and everything, and then all the actual like murders that happen with the like cat obsessed killer. Like I don't want to spoil the film or anything for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's some harsh content. But you know, as I said in the intro, like the whole world of it feels almost more like this quirky indie dramedy, and I've never seen anything like that before. And I think to tie back that into the podcast, like that does make me think of a lot of the films that you guys cover are these films that really like fuck around with tone in a way that feels wrong, you know? So I don't know if you want to build upon that or keep letting me ramble on. I've drank a lot of coffee, so I'm going to keep doing that if you guys don't. But,
is that coffee?
Looks very clear.
This is Canadian coffee. I don't know if you guys have. So it's made out of maple syrup, and it's no. The coffee is in my.
Oh, you got coffee in one hand,
double fisting,
vodka in the other. The best uncle ever.
Totally.
What is
totally the best uncle ever? What it says? Totally.
What does it say?
Oh, you can't read it?
The video quality is not the best.
Whoa, really?
We can see the best ever, but there's something written in between that is too like faint to make out.
Oh, it's totally the best uncle ever.
That's what that's what we said. That's what we said, Bob. Come on.
What was I supposed to do?
Are we all? You're not an uncle, are you?
I'm an uncle.
Oh, you're an uncle. We're all uncles here, so we're gonna have to have an uncle battle.
Yeah, why not?
Battle of the uncles.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the only one who is bald.
Jesus.
I'm the only one who's bald and has a mustache, so I feel like I'm the most uncle of them all. So, eat my dust.
It's. Yeah, we're not officially uncles until we get the mustache and shave our heads.
Lose your hair. Lose your hair. You got to lose your hair.
You can't shave? You can't go for the shave?
No.
Oh, damn
that's a cop out. I mean, I believe if you can grow hair, you should, because I'm bald. So I think for me, what I wanted to talk a lot about is like maybe if there's been a conscious connection to your own work, to the works that you're exploring on this podcast. Guy, are you okay?
I'm thinking about your question.
Oh, okay.
I have an
That's
answer.
your thinking face.
Oh yeah.
If you,
go ahead.
I don't know if it's conscious, but I do think that we've had times where we've made connections to this stuff. So Blood Brothers, for example.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
So that's a film by, I was about to say Mike Judge. It's not Mike Judge. Mike Diana, who's a really great, a really great comic artist, really disturbing comic artist. And I remember when we watched that, like that guy introduced me to that film, and I absolutely fucking loved it. And it brought me back to what it was like to make films when I was in high school, and I really connected with that film on a very like nostalgic kind of emotional level. So that I don't think that was a conscious choice on your part.
No,
Guy. Yeah,
I think I mean, complete ditto in what you said there. I think thematically there's not a lot of things that relate to the films that we make per se, but just the context in which they're made and the ideas and memories that they bring back forth is something that is definitely relative.
Right,
and I think also the way like I think both of us have what's the word? Is it empathy for these films? Because like we watched one called Werewolf recently from 1987 from Thailand, and there's some really shitty stuff in that film, like shitty effects and stuff. It's a very, very, very cheap film. But I think like we as low budget filmmakers can kind of respect its ambition in a way that we can like overlook or like enjoy the kind of cheaper aspects in a kind of in that
and I
kind
think
of
that's
way.
a big thing that I have certainly, I mean, for me, as ourselves as indie low budget filmmakers ourselves, and watching a lot of very cheaply made horror films, you know, you have to you learn to, and also you have to separate no budget movies or low budget movies and these other like big budget or studio movies. You can't judge them in the same way. So, you know, you see these movies and you're like, yeah, the special effects are shit. And yeah, it looks like crap.
Yeah.
But you can totally tell that the director had a passion and he wanted to make something and he put all of his effort into this thing. The product itself might look not great, but you can tell that he did the best with what he had. And I think doing this podcast, not only do the podcast, but just, you know, ourselves as well, making movies ourselves, but especially the podcast, that's really helped me realize and learn to differentiate those two different types of films.
Yeah.
And I've, you know, had instances where I've brought a film to the podcast, or maybe even one of our films ourselves. You know, we've talked about a film or made a film, we put all of our effort into this film, or we watched a film by another independent director who's made the film with the best of his abilities and resources, and someone just to come by and be like, oh, this is low budget, and fucking like give it like a 1 star or half a star or something. You know, it would be better if the special effects were better or something. I'd be like, yeah, of course it fucking would. You know, there's not a movie director in this world that doesn't want more money to make the film they're trying to make. So yeah, I mean, in that sense, yeah, it's definitely made me learn to kind of separate the two no budget studio productions and learn to appreciate these films that, even though they kind of look shit on paper, appreciate them for what they are and the effort that's been put into them.
I think we very rarely choose a film that we genuinely hate. There's only been like a couple of times, and I
the
think
Worm Eaters.
Worm Eaters, fuck that film.
I love it. Worm Eaters is great.
I think most of that comes from this kind of idea that we really appreciate the effort and the ambition behind films. And like sometimes it fucking just blows my mind. Like we reviewed one of the films I suggested was The Boneyard. Have you seen that, Bob? The Boneyard?
No. I've been meaning to see that.
Great film, masterpiece. I watched it for the first time a few years ago, and I'm like, this film's incredible. How is no one talking about this? Go on to Letterboxd, and most of the reviews are just like, yeah, this film's shit. This film is garbage.
Yeah,
like the only good thing is the special effects. And both Guy and I were just like, this film's fucking amazing. This is incredible. So I don't know if we just have I don't think it's a tolerance thing. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I think most of the films we watch we really connect to. The main one, Worm Eaters stands out as one that I genuinely hate. Duck, the Carbine High Massacre, Guy I hate.
That's another one, you know. Back to what I was saying. On paper, Duck the Carbine Massacre is an absolute piece of shit. It's a terrible film. But it's one that's kind of resonated with me a little bit. And I kind of think back to it. And I kind of I hate the film. It's a terrible film. But the more I think about it, the more I admire the directors and their commitment to making it.
Okay.
Because you can't go through that much effort and make a film, because they put a lot into that. And even though the product is shit, they really did everything they possibly could. They researched all these conspiracy theories. And
there's a lot of effort with it.
There's a lot of effort. You know, they rented locations. They actually had real guns at one point, wasn't it?
They got arrested for
that. They got
film.
arrested. And it's like, regardless of the film itself, you learn to kind of appreciate the stuff outside the film. The surrounding stories and the kind of motives behind making the film. Which is weird. You know?
Even probably by far the worst film we've talked about is Zombie 8. Urban Decay.
Did you see that one?
Yeah, did you watch that?
No.
Oh god.
I avoided that one.
You shouldn't say that out of context. It's made by a guy called Dustin Ferguson, aka
I've heard
Dark
of him,
Infinity,
aka
cool.
MC Dirty D.
Yeah, so he's a rapper as well, and one of his songs is in the film, and the lyrics of the song is like "fuck a little, suck a little, smoke a little, toke a little," and we're like obsessed with that song. But that film is objectively awful. Like that film has stock footage of a spider making a fucking web for about, I shit you not, Bob, for like 5 to 10 minutes of just a spider making a web. And honestly, I mean, it's a good web, don't get me wrong. I all respect that spider, but fucking hell, you don't put that in a film, mate. And it's exhausting. But even that film, in hindsight, I've become a little bit obsessed with that director now, and I've just been watching all of his stuff, and I've grown to like have a respect for him too, because it's like this is all he does. He's made like hundreds of films, and I kind of respect his dedication to this lunacy. Like, what is he doing? It's great. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, it's been. I think we have a soft spot for every film we've talked about now, right?
Yeah.
There's not been a film that we've covered that I've just like outright hated and everything about it. I mean, I probably the one I've disliked the most is of course, Dark. But even so, I've enjoyed the surrounding story, which has made me appreciate the film. So, in that sense, I'm learning to enjoy more films than I would do normally.
No, I can appreciate what you're saying, Guy, because like for me, going into any film, I kind of feel like I try to establish like, what is the budget level? Okay, not very much. Okay, where are we going? And then the thing that really sells me on it is if you see that ceiling, and then there's a point where they break through it, right? And I think Blood Brothers, I loved it right away, but it was like, oh my god, these kids are like just. They picked up a camera and just started filming nonsense. But there's a point where the choral music comes in. You know what I'm talking about? Like towards the end.
Yeah, Jesus sort of stuff.
Right. And it gets kind of montagey, and I'm like, okay, now I feel like I've never seen anything like this before. And there's something cooking, and only this person could make that. And that's what I'm always looking for in a film. It's like, I don't care how much money you have. If you've got like billions or $2, like I want to see that point where it's like you've established how this could only be made by this person.
Exactly.
And you're breaking through that ceiling,
I think that's a key thing you said. Like that film, Blood Brothers, is a Mike Diana film. No one else could make that film.
Yeah.
It's so his film. It's fucking incredible. I love Blood Brothers. I've seen it now 3 times since we did the podcast.
Wow.
He came to Japan like maybe a month after we did that episode. Like randomly came to Japan to do a screening of Blood Brothers. So it was in this tiny bar, and unfortunately Guy couldn't make it, but my partner and I went along, and it was just Mike Diana in this tiny bar in Kyoto just screening Blood Brothers. For like,
that's so random.
For like 15, 20 people. And it was just like this lovely, softly spoken man. And yeah, it was, God, man, I love that film. It's great. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Yeah. I mean, when we were talking about setting up this episode, Dave, you recommended a few films that I should try to see on top of the stuff I'd already seen. And that was the only one I could track down, I think. And I loved it. Yeah, it blew me away. Also glad it was like an hour. It was an easy
yeah. We're like that too. Whenever we're like, all right, next film is this one. And it's like 80 minutes. Perfect. Nice. 60 minutes. Perfect. When like the one we're doing at the moment is like 93 minutes. I'm like, fucking hell, 3 minutes too long. 3 minutes too long. Come on. I don't watch
anything over 90 minutes. That's my rule.
Right.
No, but yeah, when it comes to doing the podcast, like it's not just we have to research the film. We have to learn the film to be able to talk about it. So when it becomes a long film, it's like, fuck, that's a lot of work to get through,
Yeah, because we watch. Yeah. I think I watch it like twice in preparation.
Oh wow!
Okay. Any film?
Any film. Yeah.
So when it's like a 60-minute or even 70-minute film, love it.
Yeah.
Anything over 90, and it's just like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
As a film, it's great, but for a podcast film where you have to learn and then like go through each scene, like the scene by scene.
Right.
It becomes quite strenuous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've also got a problem where I'm like, I think maybe you're a similar guy. Like, I'm very obsessive. Like, I feel like I have to know everything about something before I talk about it. So when we did one on Ogroff, which is a French slasher from 1983. That was one of our recent ones. And I was like, I feel like I should watch more of that director's other work to see what it's like. I'll watch a few. And I ended up watching everything by him. And it was kind of a nightmare. Wow. So I'm not going to lie. I had influenza at the time as well. So I was just like, like 39-degree fever, just watching Dinosaur from the Deep and Alien Platoon. And we talk about those films for about like 5 seconds on the podcast, but I feel like I needed it to have the, like, not authority, but like I just wanted to get the vibe of that director, you know?
In order to talk about. Well, that's it, because we kind of, for example, if Dave has recommended a film, I go in blind, you know, I don't research anything. So, for example, if I suddenly have a question about this director's other films or something else, you know, at what year within this guy's filmography was this made? You know, he needs to know the answers. But it's better if he knows the answers. So it ends up being that we kind of just go through entire directors' filmographies and research these ridiculous things that don't necessarily need to be researched. It's a very time-consuming ordeal.
It makes sense then why you guys would focus on someone, it's easier than if you do something like that with someone like Hisayasu Sato, because from what I understand, both of you were fans of his work, and he seems to be the director that's gotten the most coverage on the podcast. Would that is that accurate?
Yeah,
3 times, is it?
Yeah. Well, we've done 2 films by him. One of our early episodes was about Nay Means Yes, which is not a title that he's aware of. Like, Sato does not. We met him and told him about the film. He's like, "What the fuck is that film?" So he's not aware of that fake title of the film. But yeah, we did that quite early on, maybe episode 5. We're going to say. And then more recently, we did Soft Skin, and it just so happened that in Tokyo, Sato was doing a screening of his first film and his latest film. And he, like, Guy, I think you've become a fan of him, but like, he's been my favorite. Like, he's one of the biggest influences on Cat Sick Blues. So like, I'm obsessed with him and have watched all of his films. So he's our first repeat director, right? I don't think we've covered anyone else twice. So, and he'll definitely come back again for another episode.
No, he's there's something about his work. Like, I remember first one I watched was technically Naked Blood I saw like back in the day, you know, but didn't really think much of it. But Celluloid Nightmares I watched.
That's my favorite.
That one was just like, oh man, all the incest and all the like slurping. I'm like, I'm not ready for this. But it was I think Muscle that really was like, there's something here.
Oh yeah.
We met one of the main, I can't remember what his name is, but one of the 2 main actors from that when we went to Tokyo was just
cool.
When we went out for drinks with Sato, he was randomly just there. And they're like, oh yeah, he was in Muscle. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. But I did not recognize him though.
He was a really nice dude.
Yeah, he's very nice. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was the one though that made me kind of lean in, you know, like, okay, something's going on here, and made me think of, I like whenever I write reviews of Sato's work on Letterboxd, I somehow always mention Jean Rollin, because there's something about both directors' films that they don't feel similar in a sense of like aesthetically, but they both have like such signature styles that are just so completely them and seem like so alienating to people that aren't ready to engage with a film on that level, you know?
It's kind of interesting because you said Jean Rollin, he's one of my favorite directors as well. And I do agree. Like, he's someone, I've talked to people who are like, he's shit. His films are shit. They're garbage. They're boring. And I'm like, yeah, but they're not, are they? like, but they're like, it's like another universe. You have to kind of like accept his world vision to like get on board with his films, and once you do,
absolutely,
they're incredible. Like Lips of Blood is like one of the most amazing cinematic
my favorite
experiences ever. Yeah.
When I first watched Lips of Blood, I remember I got to the end and then I rewound the last like 15 minutes. You know, when they have the reunion of the like boy and the girl when they're older, and then he has to like cut off her head and blah blah. And I remember I rewound it and watched it and I like cried. I was like, this is so beautiful. And then I bought the movie, and then I was like, I went to my wife like, you have to see this film. It's so great.
Yeah.
And I showed it to her and she was just like, okay, because it is kind of porny if you're not ready for it.
And it's hard to like you've got to be in the right frame of mind for it as well. And I've kind of had similar experiences trying to get people into Jean Rollin, and they're just not. They're like, it's not. His work is not something you watch with someone else. You know, you watch it by yourself. Yeah. In a dark room, not because of the pornographic aspect, but because his films are like very slow and hypnotic, and you don't want to be distracted by anyone else, I think.
Right.
He was also a big influence on Cat Sick Blues as well. The film,
really,
you know the nude vampire, his film.
Oh, the film, yeah.
So that film,
I've seen that.
Not one of my favorite Jean Rollins, but it has those like giant animal heads in it. So like it's like all these like culty kind of guys that are like wearing these big fucking animal heads. And I remember when I saw that, I'm like, that is really creepy. Like I want to do a film where someone's wearing a big animal head. And that was like why I made Cat Sick Blues.
Yeah, I would have never connected that.
Yeah. I love his film so much. Yeah.
The reason why I brought up the Sato as well was that his work seems to be almost like a good representative of the thesis of the show, of like his work is great, it needs to be seen, but you also watch it and you wonder like, who is this for? What taboos is this one breaking? You know, it definitely does feel like you know, the show is exploring like what is wrong with these films, but also why we should that maybe reevaluate these films too, right? So I think Sato is like the perfect director for that kind of exploration, you know?
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head with that one, because I remember when we did the episode 5, Nay Means Yes, and Dave was saying that, you know, during the pink cinema movement, there were all these like pink directors, and they were basically given essentially free reign to make these movies. And all they had to do was essentially, this is coming from Dave. If you heard the episode, he goes through this in a lot of detail in the Name Means Yes episode. But he said these pink film directors, as long as they supplied the given the essential minimum essential amount of sex scenes within this porn film, they were given free reign to create the surrounding story. So Sato and other directors like him would essentially just make whatever the fuck they wanted. So you had these like insane like snuff movies like Abnormal, and these weird like bestiality movies which weren't even bestiality movies. But as long as they like delivered the sex scenes, they could do whatever the fuck they want. So it kind of really became like, well, who is this for? Because you're not really giving enough sex scenes to appeal to the general, you know, pink movie or someone just wanting to jerk off in a cinema type crowd.
Yeah.
And it's essentially like, in Name Means Yes case, a bestiality film, but the bestiality isn't even bestiality. It's like fucking severed horse penis masturbation.
Yeah, that was one of the main things we talked about. It's like, who's this for? Because like, if you're into fucking horses, you're just watching a severed horse dick get flopped about.
Yeah. And it really became this thing like, well, who the fuck is this for? And I think, that is why Sato has appeared on this podcast 3 times already, because he makes films that are seemingly for no one, or an extremely niche crowd. It's genre breaking, you know. It's not for a vast audience, but it really appeals to a very, very small amount of people, which is probably the small amount of people that also listen to our podcast.
Not to dig too deep into bestiality, but have you listened to our dog and aunt episode?
Yes, I did. So
I feel like just on top of what Guy is saying, like that is the one that baffles me the most, because we talk about it in the episode, but who the fuck is that film for? Because it's dog and aunt, so it's like it's like a film for people that are into fucking dogs, but also people that are into slightly older ladies, middle-aged ladies. But then the film itself doesn't even really have much of a dog and an aunt fucking. It's mostly just the aunt having repulsive sex with what's his name, Ryuji Yamamoto. And it's just like, what is this film? And then to find out from Guy that it was a massive hit and there's a sequel, is just like, what is this world of it makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense.
And that kind of leads me to something I would love to talk about, which is, these films are all specific to Japan, and you guys living there, like, it seems kind of perfect for you to explore the seedier side of cinema there. I mean, like, what is the deal with Japanese film and Japanese porn? Like, what is? Have you guys wrapped your heads around it? Like, what is going on?
Sounded like a Seinfeld routine.
What's
the deal with Japanese porn?
What's the tentacles deal? Everywhere?
It's so graphic, but it's censored. What's the deal? I love it.
I would love that, actually. A Seinfeld routine.
God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's because, as a nation, they're extremely sexually oppressed,
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't show genitals in porn. That's insane,
Yeah.
So any sort of sexual deviance is extremely frowned upon, And not even like sexual deviance, anything like, I was speaking to someone, a lady the other day, and she was talking about, don't want to go too into detail, but like women's menstruation and just like, how the fact that it's extremely like it's such a kind of taboo subject, Yeah, there was a big earthquake in Japan recently.
Oh yeah.
And they were sending all these emergency supplies. And the government or that district's government was saying like how female sanitary products was a kind of a luxury thing, and they're like they can give like 2 fucking tampons to each lady, to last them a week or something like that, and anything more is too much, like that's too luxurious. I think what they said. And it's like, and it's still become this like big thing. And it's like where women cannot be their naturals. They can't be women. They can't have natural cycles. They can't be, sexually active. And anything that they are doing is extremely taboo. Any, lady who is sexually active is promiscuous or whatever. Yeah. So it's still a very kind of like, I don't know, sex is very taboo in Japan, and the fact that, pornography is still censored, that not only do they find these weird kind of ways around, so you can't show penises, so that instead they show these weird like phallic objects like tentacles, so you have like a porn star having sex with a fucking alien or something, or like a squid, and that goes back, way back, squid fucking
squid fucking
that goes way back in Japanese culture. And not only that, because sex is so taboo, they have these like insane fetishes where anything that you think of,
something
for example, dog and aunt, as Dave was saying, you can think of the weirdest like combination of any strange fetish, and there is a market for it in Japan.
I think something to add to what Guy is saying as well. So like there is this like conservative view of those sort of things here. But also, I think Japan, more than any other country, values people's privacy, and they're like, you can kind of do whatever you want here as long as you don't tell anyone, if you know what I mean. So like, for example, like gay marriage will maybe never be a thing here. I just think it's just never going to happen.
I wasn't even aware of that.
And I think it's like not because they're homophobic in particular,
okay,
but it's just like they're just like, oh no, we're conservative, so we won't do that. However, if you're like, gay in the privacy of your home, that's fine, right? And I think I think the same attitude extends to pornography and things here. It's like if you're at home, it's fine no matter what it is.
You can fuck your dog.
Okay.
Guy did research into the laws surrounding bestiality, and it's pretty disturbing. It's basically like, if it's at home, it's fine
as long as the dog enjoys it. It's right.
Yeah, it's very disturbing stuff. And I think a lot of
sucks.
It does suck. But yeah, I do think like most of Japan like runs on like these sort of old bureaucratic rules that have like appeared, like, so like the whole censorship thing is actually the fault of America, because they like enforced that back in like early post-war time, right? They're like, yeah, you got to censor that stuff. We don't want to see dicks and pussies on the screen. And Japan was like, oh yeah, sure. And then they've just sort of stuck with it, and they've not really changed with the times, and they stick with like the same rules, and they don't like changing the rules. But then that also leads to like madness, as Guy said, of like tentacles and squids, because they're like, well, we've got to censor it, but that doesn't mean we can't do this and go completely wild.
I think I said in one of the episodes, I can't remember which episode it was, but I heard a story about a photographer who was taking these like nude
I remember that
photographs of women, but he couldn't show the genitals, so instead he basically had pictures. He took pictures of, or he accumulated pictures of mutilated dead bodies and pasted them on top of the model's genitals. And that was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So
that is
it was illegal
backwards,
to post the pictures of these of natural genitals, but it was legal to paste mutilated dead bodies on top of them.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's bizarre, and I feel like we're living almost in a crazy world, which is why it's so appropriate to make this podcast. Which is also probably why the majority of our films that we cover come from Japan.
Yeah, we always go. We do just go back to Japan. I mean, we live here; it makes sense to do a lot of Japanese films. But I also love, like, with that censorship thing, like the way, like, that is a great example of like someone sort of fighting back against that censorship. And I mean, you even saw that in the early days of Pinku, because they couldn't show pubic hair, so they would like show like flashes of like underarm hair as like a way to be like subversive, like just like subliminal flashes of underarm hair. Well,
I mean, those Pinkus,
awesome. I love it.
The Pink films like I know of and have seen have all been so disturbing. Like so much assault, like so much. I remember one of the first ones I watched was Woman in a Box.
Got it right up my shelf. Just there you go, Woman in a Box.
Love it.
Oh man.
Have you seen Woman in a Box 2?
Love it.
No, I didn't like Woman in a Box. Personally, that was like, I want to go back to Sato right now. You know what I mean? Like, I need a little more narrative, a little less.
I think Woman in a Box is kind of a masterpiece. So I think both of those films are just like, they're very grim and upsetting, but there's like moments in like that ending of the first Woman in a Box. Oh my god, it's incredible.
Even the second in the ski resort. Sorry, I know you've not seen it, Bob, but 2 is an absolute masterpiece.
Do you know what's interesting about Woman in a Box? I've totally forgotten his name. The director. Do you remember his name? Nah. He's like a really well known director.
Yeah. I've seen a bunch of his other stuff that I liked.
Let me look it up. He's like a really famous maybe Roman porno director, I want to say. Yeah. So Masaru Konoma.
Yeah, what did he did
Flower and Snake and Wife to be Sacrificed, which is fucking amazing as well. But from what I understand from Woman in a Box, because that's like a shot on video film produced by Nikatsu, I think. And he made that he kind of made a deal with the studio where he's like, I'll make this shot on video, but I want to make a sequel that's like got a big budget and shot on film. So they're like so fucking different, those films. Like, they're kind of thematically similar, but Woman in a Box 2 is just the most beautiful looking film. It's incredible. And then, but the first Woman in a Box, like the griminess of that film, the grubbiness. I kind of love it as well, because it's so gross and so fucked, but there's just moments
so
in it
upsetting.
but it's clearly,
it's not moments, it's like long stretches.
But it's made terrifying. But it's clearly made by a great director, like the way it's shot and like captured it. It's just it is a beautiful film in a hideous kind of way, I think.
Right. But it's interesting that, you know, as you're saying about these pink directors giving free reign to do whatever they want, they're like, just as long as you have sex scenes, and that's what they decide to make, which is, you know, sure, artistically interesting, but like so upsetting. Like, who is sitting in the theater like, wow, I love this porn, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. Well, I mean,
kind of go back to a lot of the time. It's like, you imagine going to a pink cinema hoping to see some like sex, like to jerk off. We spoke about it in the podcast, like pink cinemas are essentially not places to see movies, but places to fuck, you know?
To hook up,
but or like jerk off, whatever. And you imagine going there, just like going for the reason to jerk off or hook up with someone, and instead of seeing like a hot sex scene, you're seeing a lady with a severed horse dick, or you're seeing
like eyeballs being licked
in a box, getting her blood drained from her. It's like, who's and fucking Dog and Aunt as well. We've said so many times on this podcast, who is jerking off to this? I think Dog and Aunt in particular.
Sato.
It's just he probably is. I mean, when we met him and talked to him,
he was jerking off nonstop.
Yeah, he was relentless.
He didn't stop.
But he made the films that he wanted to make.
He did.
Yeah.
He could do whatever he wanted.
Guy, I thought you were gonna reference Dave's article of Dave when you went to a pink theater like years ago for your old blog.
I think we've both talked about going to pink cinemas in the show. Guy's experience is actually much worse than mine, because mine was my partner and I, maybe like 10 years ago now, we went to like a pink cinema in Tokyo, and I didn't know that it was I'm so fucking naive, but I didn't now that I think about it, it's insane, because I didn't realize like it was just a place that dudes went, like old men essentially go there to wank each other off. And and so like when we went there, Tanner and like, here we go. My partner and I, sorry, I shouldn't say her name. No one knows her name. But my partner and I went to see it was like a three film bill kind of thing, and sat down to watch the first one, and we're just like, why are people just like circling around the seats?
Right.
Just old men,
I remember saying that.
Just walking around, and like, you know, I'm talking old ass men, like we're 60 and over, like everyone in that place. We were like the youngest people there, and they're just like circling around and around, and like, what's happening? And then we heard a guy just like, sorry, this is a bleak story. It's like behind us, we hear a guy just like blowing his load behind us, fully doing a big old cum, and then like someone freaking out, coming out and cleaning it up, so all you could smell is like disinfectant. It was disgusting. And a guy came and like sat, I think first he was like sitting in front of us, and he was just like staring at us, and I'm like, what's happening, what's going on? And then he came and sat right next to me, and he's like fucking staring me right in the face. And I'm just like, is it because I'm a foreigner? And then afterwards I'm like, oh no, it was
because he wanted to suck your dick.
Or vice versa.
He's propositioning you.
But Guy's one is way worse. Guy, have you heard Guy's pink cinema story?
No. I'm gonna have to hear it. Come on.
So Dave came in. So I was there. Dave came in. He started staring at me.
That's how we met. That's the first time we met.
He has a very wet mouth. No.
Dave turned to you and said, "Guys, show me something wrong."
Yeah. That was the name, and they're like, "Oh, should we make a podcast after we finished it?"
It was a bit awkward.
Yeah,
but yeah. No, this was like it was quite soon after moving to Japan, and I kind of found my friend group and community, which and it was in a place called Shinsekai in Osaka, and in Shinsekai they have these two pink cinemas. And one of them is actually an incredible building. It's the last cinema in Osaka that still hand paints the signs. And they don't only show pink films, they show a lot of other stuff. So they might have like John Carpenter films, they might have a lot of stuff, but everything's hand painted, beautifully done. And it's all just one guy. So the guy working there who runs the place, he's the same guy who creates these hand painted designs, these amazing murals. It's an incredible building. But anyway, after moving to Japan, becoming integrated with my friends group, they were like, we're going to go to this place. It's fucked up. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, of course. So, so we went to this cinema and we bought an all-night ticket in the vending machine outside. All cinema tickets are by vending machines. And it was like all night. It was like £5. Well, I don't know, $8 or whatever. I don't know. And we go down into the basement, this dirty, grim basement, and this overwash of stench, cum, and filth and homeless stench washes over us. And you might say I sound like an asshole, but no, because that cinema is in the slum of Japan. It was
There's
once
a picture of it right there. I got a poster of it. That's
cool.
there.
That's him. That's him jerking off in the cinema.
Oh wow!
And
I can't really see it, but
it looks nice there. But
okay.
But that was for the longest time the place that no one was to ever venture to. They were told by their parents never go past a certain point into this area.
You still hear it now, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. People still say that.
And I lived in that area for 5 years after moving to Japan. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Which is where I filmed Difficulty Breathing. But anyway, we went into this cinema and went down into the basement, and there was this porn film playing. Okay. And in this cinema, in this theater, the seats don't start until halfway down, right? So the back end of the theater is completely open. So all these people are just walking around, right, trying to lock eyes with other people, and it's essentially a cruising spot. And there are no women. It's men,
right,
and men pretending to be women, So you get a lot of drag queens.
Okay.
There's a drag. There's a drag queen theater next door to it, right?
Okay.
So a lot of
yes,
the drag queens
that entire area is
is
it drag queens that the appropriate word to use?
I think they are drag queens.
Okay, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And so basically they meet there, they lock eyes, and they fuck or they do whatever in the stalls or in a shadowed corner in this cinema, right? So we were kind of like in the back of this theater. We had our backs to the wall because, you don't want someone sneaking up from behind, So we had our backs to the wall and we were watching this porn film. There was like 10 of us, right? And there were women with us. It was a big group of friends. And we were watching this film. People were walking around. Some guy had this fucking dildo who was like stabbing up, people, seeing if they were into it.
Man.
And this guy like walked in front of us. This look, there's a lot of homeless people, and the reason being is because the price for the cinema, an all night long screening, is cheaper than a hotel, even in the slums.
Sure.
So you can sleep there for £5, $8 a night, as opposed to paying for a hotel room. So you get a lot of homeless people camping out there. You get a lot of gay dudes and drag queens just trying to do whatever, and then you occasionally get an actual cinema goer. So there's a big mix of crowds.
Like yourself.
It's a bit of a depressing atmosphere, I'm not gonna lie. And we're watching this film, some
terrible.
guy kind of comes up and he just like drops his trousers and starts jerking off in this like open space whilst watching this this porn film play out. And he does a cum on the floor. and the man who's like, you know, running the theater and doing all these signs rolls on up with a mop and starts mopping up his cum, you know.
Was he still there?
Man.
Well, he had to hop out from the ticket booth because there was cum to clean up.
No, the cum guy. Like, did he stay there after
I don't know. I didn't.
That's
follow
what I
him.
thought you meant. Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I didn't. I don't know. I didn't check. So anyway, I was like, so there's this big old pool of cum that was getting cleaned up. And it was like, fucking hell, this place is insane. And, you know, meanwhile, either side of me, there are like people having sex, people getting blowjobs by men or other people, men in wigs and shit. It was wild.
Okay.
So we went upstairs, and on the upstairs is the is where they play the normal films, right?
Oh, just go there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're like, you know, I need a you know, breath of fresh air, you know.
Guys, this sucks. Let's go.
And they're playing this fantastic Scandinavian horror film, and I was like, whoa, this is great.
Oh, cool.
And my friend was like, don't sit on the seats because they're all sticky. And I was like, okay. So I was standing up, right? And I was watching this film, and suddenly I get yanked aside by my friend. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And you know, whilst I was watching this film, I was getting honed in from all directions by all these like drag queens. Because it's where people fuck. It's a fuck place. It's not a place to watch movies.
Like still in the more normal
Even
one.
in the like normal Scandinavian horror film.
Yeah, you can go up and down.
Getting targeted.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so I was getting, so people were like homing in on me from all directions.
Wow.
And I had to fucking jujitsu them off. No.
Really?
But anyway, no, I was just like, you know, no thanks, but thanks. Anyway, let's get the fuck out of here. And they were all kind of like congregated by the door. So we were going to leave. I was like, we're leaving. And they were kind of like waving goodbye. And, you know, I was like, all right, yeah. Okay, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah, just
right.
Yeah.
As I passed the door, they all started fucking like trying to grab me and shit.
God.
Oh no!
It's a deep old world, man. And I've heard a lot of stories from other foreigners living in Japan about being like molested by pink cinema goers. You know, I just walked through the door and you know they grabbed my shoulder. I was like, not today, my friends. You know, but
you're kind of like you're kind of like a taller guy. Like you maybe look like you could defend yourself. Like imagine being a small woman or something going into.
No women are going there. That's the thing. It's
well, that's good.
Yeah,
considering the situation. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Meatball Machine, the remake that was done in 2005? Yeah, and you know, there's that scene where he goes to like a pink cinema. And I think that there's a drag queen who like tries to jerk the main guy off, and he kind of like fights this drag queen off, and she ends up like she goes full on like dude mode, gets like a deep voice and starts punching him and then knocks him out and throws him into the trash, and it's like that.
Oh, okay.
Not that I got fucking jerked off or punched or anything, but it is like they're extremely aggressive in their approach. And it's very different from what you'd imagine the very, you know, nice and, you know, polite way that most Japanese people are.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes back to what we were saying about the weird kind of like sexual laws and lifestyle of this country.
So I'm presuming then, you know, as you say, Japan values what people do behind their own doors, you know, in their own homes. You can do whatever you want. Is this cinema then considered like whatever happens behind these cinema doors, we're not going to care?
I think
just
so.
Get assaulted and whatever.
You kind of go there accepting that you're going to see or maybe subjected to something fucked.
Yeah. I think you kind of entered a world that you weren't part of, right?
Yeah.
And
but I went to the same place recently with Natsuki, So my friend, a girl, I don't know how many years younger than me, a couple of years younger than me. It was her birthday, and she was like, "I want to see something fucked up," and I was like, "All right, come with me." And
I want to see something fucked up.
I think what she said.
I'll show you something wrong.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes, she was like, "I need to go home." But
Yeah.
but we kind of like same
Yeah.
thing. I was like, "All right, backs to the wall because you don't want anyone sneaking up on you. So let's just
Right.
And we kind of just observed the stuff going on. And there are pillars in the cinema, fucking propping up the ceiling and stuff. Behind the pillars, that's where everything goes down. And I was seeing like people getting dragged behind these pillars.
Jesus Christ.
Like forcibly dragged.
Fucking hell.
And we were just there with our fucking beers. We were just like, oh,
but
Jesus.
I think I feel like that's a Shinsekai thing as well. Because like the Tokyo Pinku Theater, like compared to that, was nothing.
Yeah.
Like people were wanking each other up all over the place, but it felt very like, organized and
organized.
Yeah, well, like what you've talked about sounds absolutely fucked. Like it sounds like hell on earth. Like just going in and you have to like protect yourself. And like the place that Tanner and I went to in Tokyo was like, like no one was like assaulting me there essentially.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
But I think
that's the sense I got from reading the article.
Yeah, but I think what Guy is talking about, it's kind of that is that area playing a part of that as well, because that's a very very intense part of Osaka. Yeah, that's like some deep Osaka stuff. It's
pretty intense.
Yeah. And I guess if they're willing to do it in just like a regular horror movies playing, then it's not like the Pink film itself is inspiring people necessarily.
No, anything could be on that screen.
Could be anything.
Wow. They should just try that out one night. Just put on like Disney movies or something.
Yeah, what
imagine Up? Pixar's Up.
What would be the most unerotic film to put on the screen? What do you think?
Wizard of Oz?
Dinner. My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah, just like people talking. Yeah.
My Dinner with Andre.
Well, what's that film? What's that experimental film set in Utah? Like Desiree? Do you know that film? It's just like shots of the Utah landscape. Just like playing that. People are still just like wanking each other off like mad.
or like Paris, Texas, or something.
Yeah, let's do it.
Although no, I guess
let's do it. Let's call them up. Let's organize this.
Well, maybe you can like help the theater out and rent it out for your own screenings or something.
Well, my film played not in that cinema, but in another Pink cinema in this just like
cool.
A stone's throw from there.
That was awesome. Fucking funny because like that cinema, I don't know what the deal was, but like they had, I don't know if it was like that all the time, but they were playing your film and they had these speakers that were just like
that was just for that time.
Yeah, like these speakers that looked like speakers that you'd have in the early 2000s to listen to your fucking Blink-182 albums or something. And like, they were just like sitting in front of the screen and they could not handle the bass of Guy's film. So any scene that was bass, you'd be like, sound normal. And then just be like, and it was like genuinely like, would go right through your body, that sound.
Yeah. I was so happy. Great. I was like, fuck, my film's going to get played in a Pink cinema. It was in Toei in Shinsekai. And I was like, this is fucking great. And I looked at the speaker setup. I was like, this is not going to go very well.
Oh, man.
It's a very bassy score, and they could not handle it.
I feel like the way to, I guess, embrace that would have be like turn it into like a noise set, like, okay, well then we're just gonna like run it through an amp and a distortion pedal every time it does that, and just like completely batter people's senses.
Yeah, I think it added to it overall anyway, so it was a good screening.
It was also when there was also a typhoon.
That's
right.
Not impressed. That was a weird day. Yeah, there was like a typhoon. So like it was a bit quiet there, and like the streets were just like very quiet going into that screen.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one.
Wow.
Fun time. But still, no one got jerked off, so that's fine.
What?
Yeah, well, that's good. It kind of shows that like it does matter what's being played. Right?
It does matter.
To inspire people. So
you can't. It's official. You can't jerk off around guys.
Hey, stop it! You. Stop jerking off.
Yeah, guy was watching angrily from the corner, stopping anyone.
I was the only one jerking off was me.
Yeah,
No,
it's me.
That was when fucking, what was his name? Yuya. What's his name?
Yeah,
Yuya.
Guy from what's that movie called? Very famous movie.
Yuya something, right? His name is Yuya. I forgot his last name.
Fuck. What's his name? A famous actor came to that screening that we can't remember the name of. From Machine Girl, the guy from Machine Girl.
And he's in a few Pink films. He's in Kaiki.
Yeah, he's in Senritsu Kaiki.
The Kappa episode.
Let me look him up. Yuya Ishikawa came to that screening.
Yeah, nice fella.
Nice guy.
Oh, cool.
I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Nice guy, Yuya.
Well, we should continue talking about the podcast, and we are at like an hour 13.
Yeah,
so
maybe
about
we'll porn for the last 40 minutes, I think.
Well, no, I mean, I think there's something about like Japanese porn or Japanese pink cinema that is very like disturbing and interesting, and I think like, you know, one of the appeals of your show is that you're kind of explaining and describing these things because you've had firsthand experience with it, but you're letting people kind of like peer in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why. Sorry, I'm laughing. I was just like, I thought you're gonna be like, there's just something about Japanese porn that's so fucking hot. Like, I was just expecting you to say that.
No.
So let's just talk more about that, huh?
No. Okay. What I want to talk about, because I was mentioning
Japanese
this before.
porn.
It's Japanese porn. Because we were talking about this before we started recording of like the disturbing iceberg, disturbing film iceberg, and follow me on a little bit of a tangent here, but it seemed like the disturbing film iceberg got really popular because there was a lot of YouTube channels that were describing the films on the iceberg. And I think that your show kind of taps into a similar appeal for people of where you're letting people come up close to engage with this material, but without actually seeing it head on. And in a lot of ways that can make that content scarier. And in a lot of ways, I think that just lets people that aren't ready for it engage with it, you know? And I don't know, like, I mean, you guys must be somewhat desensitized to a lot of this stuff at this point.
I think, I mean, yeah, I've looked at those iceberg pictures. One thing I will say about them is that whoever is making them clearly hasn't seen all of the films that they are listing.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like they are just grasping and putting them into whatever category they think they should be in, but as someone who has seen a lot of the films, not everything, because there's some things I won't watch, I'm just like, that should not be here, that should be up there, or this should be down there, you know, that kind of shit, you know. Just that's my opinion, but also I feel like the people who make those icebergs are just, you know, what are they? They're TikTokers or YouTubers. It's for whatever. Yeah, it's viewer content. You know, it's not an accurate thingy.
Yeah.
But then also in terms of what we cover, I feel like a lot of stuff we cover is quite harmless.
Yeah, I was gonna say
we don't cover anything that is like real death. We don't cover anything that is extremely fetishistic. I've been asked a few times to cover a Lucifer Valentine film, but I know he would fucking hate it, and it is a little bit too far.
By you mean me?
Yeah, this guy. Yeah. I've had a few requests to do regurgitated sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I think it could be an interesting topic to talk about, but at the same time, like, we want to focus on movies, you know, not on death films, not on shockumentaries, not on mixtapes, which is fucking retarded. and not on fetish, like whatever the fetish gore genre that's also kind of booming at the moment.
I think that's like, if you listen to our podcast, if the title is "Show Me Something Wrong," but it's not like "Show me the most fucked up fucking edgy shit you've ever seen, motherfucker." Like, we cover some ridiculous stuff. Like, we've covered Miracle Bunny, which is like a film about a bunny dad and his idol daughter, and like, it's not, the idea is not so much like the most disturbing films, it's just films that just are fucking insane and shouldn't exist. Like, that's our kind of key focus. And like, I'm in my late 30s, he's in his mid 30s. I think we're past the point of being like, I want to see the most disturbing shit. I want to be like, I'm just not interested in that anymore. That was me, like, 18 years ago, and I'm just like over that sort of stuff. And when I see, like, I have no fucking interest in any of those, like, whatever you call it, like, what is it, like, extreme horror, sort of extreme horror kind of stuff. I really have no interest. And I went through the stage of, like, when I was like 19 or 20, of like watching August Underground and stuff like that, and no disrespect to those films, but I'm just like not interested. And I also, I totally agree with what Guy's saying about this kind of, these iceberg things are like built for, I don't want to sound like a know-it-all cunt, but like they're kind of like pitched towards a certain audience, right? And you see that on TikTok. Like, Catsick Blues, like 2 or 3 years ago, like went kind of crazy on TikTok with people saying, like, the most disturbing movie you'll ever see. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, I can tell you 100, 1,000 films that are more disturbing than Catsick Blues. What are you fucking talking about? And I think it's just because, it's like, they're like exposing an audience that's not used to that kind of stuff. They're like seeing this sort of stuff for the first time. And like, when I look at those iceberg things, I totally agree with Guy. I'm like, why is that on there? Or like, what's that doing there? And
I think we both come from horror backgrounds, so it makes sense that we both bring horror related content to the podcast. But on the other hand, Dave brought Super Shusha.
Right. That's actually, I think, the only one I haven't listened to. That episode.
So that's like a very famous Brazilian pop star, Xuxa.
Right. I used to watch the TV show when I was a kid.
Really?
It was
So that was an absolutely bonkers episode. And that film, it's not disturbing in a traditional kind of, horror disturbing. It's more just like, you watch it and just, you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, how did this come about? And that's what I like about the flexibility of our show. We can do genuinely disturbing things like Red Account or Writhing Tongue, but we can also do things that are just like, you more just watch it and you're just like, sorry, what is this? Like, how does this exist? Like, what? Right. So it's a flexible title.
It is.
We're not really,
for sure.
Same as the wrong-ometer, which is like, everything was like, what the fuck does this mean this time?
No, I think that definitely helps, is that you guys cover such a wide range of stuff. But you definitely have, I'd say, like, I'm just looking through the list, maybe like 5 films that I feel like I couldn't watch, and I do have the occasional interest of like, ooh, see the most disturbing thing, but something like, I like Dog and Aunt, or like, I don't think I could watch that. That crosses the line for me.
I think that one, I mean, like, there's things that we do where we're like, this has always been a thing that I think both of us decided before we made the podcast. We want it to be something where you can listen to it without seeing the movie, and that's why we go through the whole movie. That's like, that's part of the format, right? And Dog and Aunt, you don't need to see it. Trust me, Bob, you do not need to see it.
I don't want to,
It is an artistically dead film. It's a worthless movie. Don't fucking see it. It's garbage. It's horrible. And like, just listen to the episode about it. That's all you need to.
Oh, I did.
What you said? There was. What were the other ones on your list that you?
Okay. I mean, Red Account, My Bloody Angel. Unless I'm
That's a great
That
one. You should
sounded.
watch that.
Is it okay? Maybe
That's a
I'll
good
give
one.
that a
It's
chance.
it's a bit fun.
Okay, so yeah, what did I say?
Super
Dog and Aunt
Shusha,
and
Miracle Bunny.
no. I'll watch that one. Actually, you know what? Okay, Miracle. No, sorry. The other one was Name Means Yes. I mean, anything with that kind of content, I'm just like,
I think
yeah.
Name Means Yes is not as bad as it sounds. Yeah, it's worse on paper than it actually is, and I think that's one that's really worth watching. I think if that had a proper release, then it would be known as one of Sato's best films. It's just unfortunate that it's actually never been released. So when we met Sato, he was like, "How the fuck did you see that?" Because it's literally never come out in Japan, anywhere. Never come out.
Yeah.
So the copy of that's floating around online, one of his crew members leaked that.
Oh wow.
Somehow to online. So someone in his crew. So he was really pissed off when he found out that we'd seen it. Yeah. So it's never been released, but yeah, it sounds fucked, and it is fucked, but it's a genuinely like amazing film. So that's one I do recommend. Dog and Aunt is totally worthless as a movie. Yeah.
No, I mean, I understand it's like it's all kind of hinted, right? Like that kind of content. But I don't know, even like the like hinting of it really like maybe it's just a personal thing. I'm just like, there's some stuff like that I'm like I can watch like, you know, the craziest stuff in maybe terms of like gore, but when it comes to stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, you know. But with Sato, do you think like any of his work will get restored, like put out on Blu-ray?
Yeah, so we recently went to Tokyo for a screening of his first film, Distorted Sense of Touch, which is impossible to see anywhere because of like music copyright kind of issues.
Right.
And that has been restored digitally because it was gonna be released, but then it all kind of fell apart. We talk about it in some of our mini episodes. And fuck, man, that film is, oh my God, it's a masterpiece.
Sounded awesome.
It's such a fucking good film.
I almost wept during that.
That
screening.
Yeah,
it
me
was
too.
Absolutely incredible.
It was fantastic. And I knew I was going to like it, but I didn't realize it was going to be one of his best films because he just put everything into his first film because he thought he would possibly never make anything again. So it's this amazing film. But the company behind his new film, I've totally forgotten the name, Dear Kaita something or other.
The new film?
Yeah,
Kaita
Ablaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dear Kaita Ablaze. So we went for a screening of that as well. And the company behind that, I think, are involved with the release of The Eye's Dream as well, which is one of his more recent films too, which has finally come out on Blu-ray with subtitles as well. And I can't say for sure, but my feeling with that company, it does feel like they're putting a lot into Sato and like getting him involved with like promoting stuff. So I can't say for sure, but my feeling is that perhaps we might, and I don't want to give anyone hope, but perhaps there might be some like restorations in the making, maybe because they, you know, put on this like incredible retrospective of his work, and they're making a documentary about him. They were like shooting stuff when we were there at the screening. So it does feel like, they're putting a lot of effort into at least this new film that he's made. So I hope that leads to restorations of his work, because that is the saddest thing. Like, you know, Name Means Yes, I mentioned already, like the only available print of that is something that's been leaked by one of his crew members, and it looks like absolute shit. It's one of the worst prints you could ever see of anything.
Right.
It's like almost impossible to make things out. And so many of his best films, you just can't see anything outside of these like really shitty VHS rips, and it's so sad. Like I rewatched you mentioned Celluloid Nightmares before, and that is one of my favorite films of his, and the only way you can see it currently is just like this shitty VHS rip, and like the whole time watching it I was loving it, but I'm like, I want a fucking restoration of this. Come on, it's a masterpiece.
I know.
And so many of his films are like almost everything he's made is incredible, and they're just sort of sitting there, just in these crappy VHS rips. Is like the only way you can really watch them outside of Japan, unless you want to pay a whole lot for like a busted old video. So I really hope that there's like a good release of his stuff. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
I'd kill for like a box set, just like 5 of his best films or something, or
not to say too much, but I've been kind of like a company that I have done stuff with. Like I've been really pushing them, like, please get in touch with him, please like release his stuff. So, but it's complicated with Pink Films as well, because the rights are such a nightmare, because most of those films were produced by multiple companies and they kind of don't give much of a shit about them, so a lot of the prints are lost. So some of his films, that was the most shattering thing, talking to him, because I'm like, I've still got this many of his, like 7 of his films left that I can still see. I just have to unearth them. But then talking to him, he's just like, they're gone forever. They're gone. So
that's nice.
The ones that you can't see, you'll probably never be able to see because they've been destroyed, which is horrible to know. And they were never released on video. So it's just like, fuck, they're gone. Those films are gone.
So does that mean that they were made for like a screening in a pink theater? I'm not sure if there's like another word for it. So they screened it for however long, and then they were like, okay, we're done, and then they just tossed it aside.
Because they were basically considered just like, trash, right? So that was
during that time, most pink cinemas put out a call essentially for whatever type of film was on demand, and the head company would basically assign these roles to various directors who were assigned to these production companies, and said, you need to make a pink film with this theme, and whatever director would be involved would essentially pick up this theme, make a film, and it would be screened at this pink film solely at this pink theater solely for this pink theater. And there was never any kind of thought of whether it would be released after that. There was never any like, well, maybe one day this will get a VHS release or a DVD. That was way later on. It was purely for that moment in time. So once it was screened, a lot of the times, it was maybe archived, maybe thrown away, maybe destroyed, placed somewhere and forgotten about. So unfortunately, a lot of these films have been completely lost.
And I mean, like that's something that happens everywhere, but I think it's like especially prevalent in like pink cinema because it was just seen as like disposable sort of stuff. But Australia has the same problem as that, because like so much Australian TV, for example, was just like deleted, like removed, because they're like, who the fuck wants to see this again? This is just on TV at this time, no one cares about it. Neighbors. And actually Neighbors, it's all gone. They're like a friend of mine who we mentioned on the pod a lot for some reason, Pierre. It's one of my closest friends. He was telling me just today about a film called Savage Attraction, also known as Hostage, which is an Ozploitation film from the 80s. And it was essentially like a lost film as well, like just like unseen for ages. But it's just resurfaced only because the director had thankfully kept the original print of it. And now you can fucking see it on Tubi. Thanks, Tubi. So it's so like, it's crazy to think though that like these films that like so many people put work into can just be like, trashed, and gone forever.
It reminds me of that film we covered. Fucking Skinner, was it?
Oh yeah. Fucking Skinner.
I've seen
So the backstory of Skinner is crazy. Where this was like nearly a lost, not quite a lost film. Like there was still the VHS and stuff, but like the original film negatives were just like, gone, or like the journey that they had to go on to get them back was absolutely insane.
And then they had to like reshoot a bunch of like connecting scenes and shit.
They had to like re-edit stuff. Like it was crazy. That was like a lost thing. I thought you were going to talk about in Ogroff, the Ogroff episode. No. We talked about the director of Ogroff, which I found this like really powerful. Like the guy that made that, he passed away, and then I guess I guess he didn't have any relatives that like, you know, inherited his stuff, and like he had bags and bags of comics that he'd made, like these incredible like handmade comics from like the 1950s that he'd made as a child, and they just got tossed out in a flea market in France.
Right.
And
I remember that anecdote.
Yeah, and like thankfully like someone had found them, and that like, yeah, stuff like that makes me think about films that just get like tossed out, thrown in the bin, and it's very bleak.
It makes me think actually of a movie that I would love to recommend you guys try out on the podcast. Ryan's Babe.
Say again?
Ryan's Babe.
Ryan's Babe.
Ryan's Babe.
Yeah. So actually, it was released on DVD within the past few years by the same company that put out Ogroff, Videonomicon. And from what I understand, they found the prints in a dumpster.
Wow.
And then they resurrected the film, and it's by no means like disturbing or transgressive or anything, but it makes no sense. And it's like an early 2000s Canadian film. It's funny, I've seen it so many times at this point that I now understand the plot, but I promise the first time you watch it, you'll be like, wait, so what flashback are we in right now? And it's hilarious. Yeah. But maybe that's a good segue, because I have a list of movies I'd love to drop on you guys. You don't have to do them, but just consider them, you know? And a couple of them I already mentioned to Guy when we did our episode last year. But Bride of Frank is a big one. Are you guys familiar with that one?
Yeah. I looked into it. Yeah, I still haven't watched it, but it's on my watch list.
Yeah, that one is like, that is a film that's like, who is this for? This is so offensive. This is so fucked up. And then the other one that I also mentioned to Guy, which Guy, you said you'd seen Marquis, like Marquis.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Dave?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, it's what is it? It's kind of, there's a big old puppet dick.
Oh boy.
It's the only way I can describe it. Who talks?
No.
It's what is it? It's almost like,
you're
how would you describe
underselling
it?
it.
No, how it's almost like,
okay,
the Dark Crystal meets Trauma is the best way I can fucking match it together.
Great.
No. It's better than that. It's better than that.
I thought that was a pretty good set.
Give some No.
I mean, that made me want to see it. Yeah.
It is puppetry. What it is animatronic faces on top of human bodies, and it's a telling of Marquis de Sade. I'm not sure what book of his, or if it's a biopic, but it's basically, it's all in French, and it's very transgressive, sleazy, all that, but it has like these like animal head creature looking people, and it's some of the most bizarre puppetry animation. Like, I wouldn't even know what to call it. It's super bizarre to even watch, let alone then see, all this depictions of like sexuality and violence and things like that. But it is kind of like weirdly classy, and that's why I'm like, don't throw the trauma in there. Trauma, no.
Dave, do you remember when? No. I don't. I'm not disrespecting it by saying it's like.
Okay.
What did I say? Trauma and Dark Crystal.
Trauma.
I thought that, yeah.
Oh no, I love Dark Crystal.
I thought that was a
Dark Crystal for
pretty
sure.
good. Anyway, do you remember when we went to Eggy's talk show in Dordaco Records in?
And they had that puppet stuff.
And I think he may have shown a clip from.
Okay, yeah. I've seen clips from it then. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's
I
love it. It's a great film. Yeah.
So you're saying it's like Dark Crystal meets Toxic Avenger 2?
No, it's
with a bit of
like,
surf Nazis.
No. It's Dark Crystal meets Romeo and Juliet.
Oh,
no,
that's classy.
He says no. It's classy.
I would say no.
Labyrinth
I would say
meets.
No.
No.
I'm trying to compliment it here. I'm trying to compliment.
No, I know. I would say Dark Crystal meets Singapore Sling.
I've actually, I've never seen Singapore.
Singapore Sling.
That would be Singapore Sling is
Yeah,
phenomenal and should be maybe in the podcast.
Maybe
I don't know. I don't know if it's really that wrong, per se. But anyways,
It's a
I'll
good
continue
film,
on
yeah.
my list. The other movie that I wanted to recommend, this one came on my radar within the past couple of years. It's called Jayomon Rashomon and Senzo Hoshi. And it's essentially a puppet film, like puppet S&M fetish film that I saw that was so insane.
That's not that.
Do you have it? It's basically like two episodes in a way, and one of them is like a.
What's this? It's not that, is it?
Nah.
Let's see.
No, this isn't it.
No, I got another puppet S&M thing on my shelf.
Oh, let's see.
No, I don't think it's it though.
Oh, okay. What is that? That looks crazy.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh well, you got to watch it.
One day.
Yeah. No, no. This is just
the title to that film. That sounds wild.
Yeah, I can help you guys out with that one. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then Jamanka. I don't know how to pronounce this. S-A-M.
Is it
Jumanji? No.
Jamanka? Is that not Jodorowsky's film?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that one. So you've seen that?
Oh yeah, I love Jodorowsky.
It's great.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's awesome. But that film like broke my brain. It felt very wrong. It felt very like, okay, there's an electrified mummy, but then it was like super harsh and misogynistic too. It was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Jodorowsky, the director of Possession.
Oh,
yeah.
It's kind of like Possession meets Death Powder.
Wait, have I seen that? I might have seen that one.
A little bit, yeah.
He's got that
That's
fucking mummy just like laying down.
The mummy doesn't make any sense,
No,
but then
it
it's like a
doesn't.
weird love story that was like really upsetting too.
yeah.
But then the actress was so good too, but like really funny. Like there's that scene where she's talking about like, oh, my favorite band, Smashing Pumpkins, or something. That's kind of comes out of nowhere.
It's interesting. I need to give it a rewatch. I watched it first time a long time ago, but yeah, I remember enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the film that everyone kind of regards as his second best after Possession.
Which one is it?
Jamanka.
Really?
Is where is it? Oh, what's this? No, Cosmos. No, this. Yeah, it's a good film, but I feel like it kind of channels Possession too much. You got that you got that hysteric female lead, and I watch her and I watch his direction. I just can't not think about Isabella Adjani and her role in Possession, and I kind of feel like as good as her performance was, she's almost like a second-rate Adjani in a way. But it's a good film, but it's just not. It's not Possession.
It's also like, I don't know if you've seen L'Amour Braque, Mad Love.
No, I haven't.
That might be my favorite Zulawski. It's basically like him doing, the Possession level hysterical cinema, but it's like a crime drama that makes no sense, and it's a beautiful film. It's over the top. The woman in it is really good. I forget her name. And there's like a weird like part with like a snuff tape. I don't know. It's like a gangster film. It's so fucked up. It's good. Really, really good. Okay, and then the last film I was going to recommend, then we'll do the questionnaire. Dangerous Seductress.
Oh yeah, that film's fucking great. But I don't think I don't know if we'll do that for the pod, because you haven't seen that, have you?
It doesn't sound familiar.
We're doing a film that's very similar to that. Maybe the same director, or but very like that film adjacent soon.
Okay.
Lady Terminator? Oh my god. Okay. Wait. That movie. Okay, we won't talk about it. I just saw a movie.
Lady Terminator. I'm gonna say, I already said this guy. I like. This is gonna make me sound like such a fucking idiot. I like Lady Terminator more than the Terminator. I think Lady Terminator is one of
100%.
It's one of the greatest films ever made.
Absolutely.
I'm obsessed with it.
No, no hyperbole. I
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I was like, I would rather watch Lady Terminator. I feel like I've already watched Lady Terminator more times than I've ever seen all the Terminator films combined.
Yeah. But I think is Dangerous Seductress the same director?
It's like Talal or something.
Yeah, but
I think his last name. I think so.
I really like Dangerous Seductress, but I think we try not to repeat ourselves too much. So I've wanted to do Lady Terminator for a long time. So maybe by the time your episode of this comes out, we might have already done it.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. I would have only recommended Lady Terminator if I assumed that you guys weren't already aware of it. Because I figured most people that are into cool movies has seen Lady Terminator, so
it's
I wanted to drop something more obscure.
It's my my thing, my icon on Letterboxd for the last over 10 years now.
I watched a movie recently that is like my Lady Terminator of this year, Magic Crystal. Do you guys know that one?
I love that film. That's on my list.
Have you seen it, Guy?
I've not.
Oh, dude, that film is
it's so good.
Bonkers. It's fucking
it's
great.
Amazing. Yeah.
Just absolutely insane kung fu
Dave,
madness.
I gotta ask, do you smoke weed?
No. Well, you can't in Japan.
Right. Okay.
Exist.
Yeah. No. I'm just like a lot of these movies we're talking about are like these are prime weed smoking films, you know. Okay. So we'll do the questionnaire, and I'll just shoot out the questions. You guys, whoever wants to answer first, I'll let you decide. You know,
how do we decide?
Maybe Guy then Dave.
I don't know what the question is.
Or just spit it out, you know. Actually, Guy, you'll remember all these questions because we asked you last year. So I want to see if you've kept the same ones. I know. Yes. Okay. All right. So tea or coffee?
Oh, I got it.
It is the same. 100% coffee.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh my god! You remembered it. Choose one film for the rest of your life.
For the rest of my life? So yours is Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Mine would be Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh.
Which one?
The Rick Moranis 80s Frank Oz one.
Oh, okay.
Not too dissimilar.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah,
they both. They're both a bit Muppety.
Bit Muppety.
Frank Oz, he was a Muppet.
Great soundtrack. Yeah.
I
don't remember the next question.
Guy, do you know the next one? Oh, you don't? Okay. If you had to be an animal, which would you choose?
Do you remember what I said last time?
No.
I mean, either. I don't know.
You probably said ant or something.
I don't know. A pigeon. I don't know.
I would go for probably, let's say, I'm going to say a whale because they're smart and it'd be good to be able to swim about. Be a big old whale.
Big old whale. I guess I'll say owl. I'll be an owl.
You're a bit of an owl.
Cool.
I can see that.
Bit of an owl.
The owl and the whale. Okay.
Oh, that's the new podcast title, The Owl and the Whale.
We're going to change it now. We're rebranding. The Owl and the Whale.
What happens when we die?
Is this one of the quiz questions, or are you just you're just like, dude, I need to know?
You get eaten by the owl and the whale.
There we go. I love it.
I think it's just darkness, mate. It's just darkness.
Just blackout.
We're just nothing. Nothing.
Bleak over it.
Nothingness. He's a hardcore Christian.
Well, technically, if you were to be eaten by an owl and whale, you would just black, right? I mean, your answers are sort of connected together. There's a narrative, really. So I like that. Last question. Song title that best describes your life.
Oh.
Disco Inferno. Said last time.
Okay.
Never changes. Cool. Disco Inferno. Fuck it.
The song. So not the song, but
the
the song title.
I've full disclosure, I didn't come up with this questionnaire. I've never really understood what the intended way to perceive that is. It could be the song itself, it could be the title. I mean, however you want to perceive it is up to you.
Mine would be this is a joke purely for myself to enjoy. Sorry for Party Rocking by LMFAO. So you said the song title, right?
I would like to think that you would enjoy the song itself, though.
I've actually never listened to the song. I just know the title.
Maybe pick a song that you like.
Can you sing it?
But it's a song title that describes my... I don't know, I assume it goes, sorry for party rocking. Do you think it's really funny? Do you remember the band LMFAO? Unfortunately. What do you mean? You love uncles. They're the ultimate uncle-nephew duo. They should be your favorite band.
Are they real? I didn't know that was the construct of LMFAO.
They did a song called Party Rock Anthem, if you remember that song. That was like their big song. But then they did a song called Sorry for Party Rocking, which I assume is an apology for their main song.
You know, this is a obscure podcast reference point, but hearing you sing just now, Dave, reminded me of when guys sang Round the Twist or whatever it's called, the theme song.
Did you sing that?
Wait, was it a Bucks Party? Was
yeah.
Happening, I'm going round the twist.
Yeah. I remember just that getting stuck in my head at work because I listened to podcasts at my work. Song? I've seen that show when I was a kid, and I remember that theme song, and I was like, "Oh,
do you actually know that
song?
Show?
I forgot about it."
That show was
it was on like
that show from when you were a kid.
Yeah, it was on like in Canada we have I think we still have it, YTV Youth Television, and they would play Round the Twist. They'd also play Keeping Up Appearances at night and other British shows. So
did you have
Round the Twist is an Australian show, just to be clear, Bob.
I know. I'm trying to tie it into both of you. Come on. I know it's Australian. And I looked at Guy. I was like, and Keeping Up Appearances.
Did you have what was it?
My favorite American show is Degrassi Junior High.
I'm not impressed.
Blank. So unhappy.
Do you know when I was a kid though, Degrassi was fucking huge in Australia. People
It was amazing.
That show. It was a great show. It's so good. Have you ever watched Degrassi Junior High?
You said that to jab at me though because it's Canadian, right? That's why you said that?
Yeah. It's because it's the best Canadian show ever made. Yeah. So I was calling it American.
Right.
To upset you.
I said Keeping Up Appearances because I was trying to appeal to how you are Australian and you're English.
That's your favorite show, Keeping Up Appearances, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
I've literally no idea what you guys are talking about.
Keeping Up Appearances is fucking great. It's a great show. It's with Mrs. Bouquet.
Who? I don't know what you're talking about. What is this conversation?
They also did The Young Ones.
No, that's a great show.
Is that what it's called?
Now we're back on my level.
That's one of my favorite shows growing up. I love Young Ones.
What was his name?
The Young Ones.
What was his name? With the long hair.
Neil.
You're
a bit of a Neil.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry, I'm just joking.
Bit of a Neil. Vivian. Okay. That was it. The other one. Oh, what are we talking about?
Okay, guys.
What was Bob? How old are you, Bob?
39.
Okay, so we're about the same age. So what was your favorite childhood show? What was like your defining childhood show? For me, it's Round the Twist, the Australian show.
Okay. Oh man, favorite childhood show? I don't know.
Oh, the tables have turned now, huh?
No. This happens to me every time we do the questionnaire, and then people go, "What would you say?" And I'm like, "I'm not fucking answering."
Interviewer, not the interviewee.
Yeah. Me. Are You Afraid of the Dark was pretty.
Oh
tight.
yeah,
I like that show.
I never saw that
stuff.
I never.
That
saw
opening was terrifying with the
totally.
the swing blowing in the wind. Yeah, freaked me out as a kid.
I think I can see its influence on your work.
Thank you. I've not seen it for a while, so I can't, but I will.
Go
I
back.
will accept it as a compliment.
I will say when Goosebumps, that TV show, came out, and everyone was like, "This is gonna rock," and then we watched it, and I was like, "Man, this has nothing on Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like, this is such a step down."
So they had the Midnight Pact, and they were like, converge in a circle and burn some whatever sand in a fire, and it all like sparked up into the air. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Gave me the heebie-jeebies.
I gotta watch that.
Oh yeah,
is that like early 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, mid to late 90s, maybe.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You're very certain. Yeah.
All right.
Definitely early 90s.
The biggest argument I ever got into on Letterboxd was about Goosebumps. So I did and it was like a really innocuous comment. I did a review of the Haunted Mask episode of Goosebumps. And like this was like a few years ago, so it's kind of weird to have like TV shows on Letterboxd.
Sure.
So I was like, I just wrote a comment. I'm like, oh, yes, is all right. Like, I don't really know. And I just made the comment, I don't know why it's on Letterboxd because it's not a movie. And someone got really angry at that comment. And we're like, how dare you like devalue and disrespect this episode? And I'm like, I wasn't even like disrespecting. I'm like, no, I just mean, I thought it was weird that it was on here because it's a TV show. And the guy got just kept going back and forth. He was very passionate about the Haunted Mask episode of Goosebumps. Yeah.
I gotta look that up. Is it still on there?
I think I might have deleted the comments. It could be still on there. Yeah. I think I was just like, I was a bit like freaked out by it,
You guys went too far.
Yeah, it was just
too many buttons.
It was. I'm checking if it's still. I've looked up Haunted Mask, but it's not there.
Done.
Did they take? Maybe they took off Goosebumps. Maybe they listened to what I said.
It's
not that.
They saw the fight that it was starting. They're like, if we just remove,
we got to remove
the listing.
Yeah,
we'll stop a lot of
lines,
pain.
Steps too many toes.
Well, guys, I think we'll call it quits because you truly showed me something wrong today.
Hey. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for your time and talking.
I feel like he spoke a lot, so I kind of just lead.
You spoke a lot. You told that story about how you nearly got wanked off by all those people in the theater.
I always tell that story. That's my favorite story.
You guys have like a what is it, Waldorf and Statler kind of thing going on? Is that what they're called?
What's that?
The two old guys on the Muppets that just sit in the balcony,
just laughing.
On the front of the boat in Muppet Treasure Island is how I know them.
Okay.
No idea. Okay. But no, yes, you are right. On the balcony. But yeah, I said Muppet Treasure Island is my desert island movie. In Muppet Treasure Island, they're on the front of the boat.
No, I know.
No, he doesn't know.
Wait, what do you mean? I don't understand.
Okay.
Not just like, all right.
I think the slight delay in the video makes it funnier. I know. Yeah. I know. I've seen it.
Okay. No, this is funny because this happened the last episode I did, where the person I was recording with said the delay was getting worse and worse. And so it's not delayed for me at all. So for the past 10 minutes, I've been like, these guys are kind of getting weird because you're reacting to me being delayed.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I think I'm talking normally. Why did they keep
No, that's probably just us, to be fair. I don't think it's the delay.
Okay.
It's just how we react to things. We just get.
Tunnel lag.
Thanks a lot.
No, I don't mean it as an insulting thing. We just get. Okay. We just get excited.
Oh, that's good. It's your passion that shows, and it's your passion that makes show me something wrong such a fascinating podcast. So
thank you very much.
Thanks for listening.
All jokes aside, thank you very much for listening, and I'm glad you and everyone else who listens gets a kick out of it.
Yeah, we do. And we look forward to your future films.
whatever they may be.
Do you have future films? Anything in the works? Anything we can look out for in the coming years, months, days?
Days.
Not days.
Not days.
But maybe something. Maybe something this
Okay.
Maybe we'll film something this year.
Okay. How about this? How about when you guys are ready to announce, you come back and you talk to me about it.
Let's do it. Can we do a whole
Okay.
podcast about what was the show that you mentioned that he doesn't know? With Mrs. Bouquet?
Oh,
Keeping Up Appearances. I would love to do a show, quite genuinely, where we just talk about that and Guy sits like he is now. Looking really pissed off.
I woke up at 4 a.m. today. I can sit back in my chair if I want. But yeah,
if you can find like the weirdest episode or the most offensive episode or something,
do it for the pod.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Just show me something wrong.
Yeah, next week we're doing episode 4 of Keeping Up. Fuck, he's genuinely getting.
Oh, God.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Okay, guys. And a 1 and a 2. Oh,
Have you ever felt like this?
When strange things happen,
are you going round the twist?
That's not like.
That's it. We're done.
okay. All right. Bye. Bye, guys. Okay. I'm gonna end session for all.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Bye, guys.